On your left side is the question paper, and then on the right side is the answer that you should be answering. Okay, so that is basically the answer given. Okay, so for the first question, it just simply asks you to find the level of measurement. Okay, you want to find the level of measurement. So basically, let me just review again what it means by level of measurement. Level of measurement is the level for measuring for the variables that we want to discover, or we want to get information from the respondent. Okay, so in this case, we have four measures of measurement, level of measurement. We have the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So basically, these are the four levels of measurement, and you need to understand the first two, that is nominal and ordinal, is just for the categorical data. Okay, for categorical data or classification data. And the second one, the last two, the interval and ratio, is for the continuous data. Okay, and then the difference between the ordinal and nominal will be one can be ranked, the other one cannot be ranked, while the difference between interval and ratio, one has an absolute value of 0 and the other one has no absolute value of 0. Okay, or what we call is as the absolute 0 point, right? So here we have the numerical, the ages of patients in a local hospital. So this is numerical. So that means it can only be either interval or ratio. So the criteria is that you have age. If your age is 0, that means there is no people, no human being, right? So that means age will be ratio. And then rating, so the word rating here, you already know that it's going to be a rating, it's going to be a rank, okay, a ranking. So that means excellent, good, poor, fair, and poor. So this will be ordinal. Okay, online spending. So this is, you can, online spending will be in the form of amount, okay, amount that is measured through currency. So that means it will be a ratio value. And then temperature, you know that temperature is an interval. Okay, even though you have 0 degrees Celsius and so on, you have 0 in there, but 0 doesn't mean that there's no temperature. It just means that 0, it means that 0 degrees Celsius means that it is too cold. The temperature exists, but 0 doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So temperature is interval. And then the second one asks you to state the probability sampling methods. So in this case, it's already given here, the probability sampling method. So by right, when we talk about the probability sampling method in this situation, okay, okay, so they ask you to for the probability sampling methods. Dia nak masuk ke? Okay, so that means probability sampling methods, we have 5 probability sampling methods techniques, right? So the techniques, right? So we have 5. So the simple random sampling, systematic samplings, and then we have the stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and multi-stage. So you have to choose which one reflects the statement given. So the first one states that a researcher divides a group of students according to their academic performance, excellent, moderate, and low. The researcher selects 10 students randomly from each group. So the first key ideas here is it divides the group. Okay, it divides a group of students. Okay, and then the second key points here, the keywords here is select 10 from each. Okay, dia ada perkataan each kat situ. Okay, first dia katakan divide. Okay, and then dia ada perkataan from each group. So this is another indicator. Okay, from each group ni. So kalau dia divide, that means your answer is either using stratified, cluster or multi-stage. Multi-stage will be out of the group here, because you know that for multi-stage you need to have another subdivision. Okay, but in this case the division is just done once at one level only, that is according to the academic performance. Okay, satu tu je ya. So dia ada satu level saja. So that means in this case multi-stage is not possible. So the only thing is cluster or stratified, and the thing that they decide this is a stratified sampling is the word from each group. Okay, from each group. So that means you need to get some response from the member of each groups. If from several groups, that means you don't have to get from each group, it will be cluster. But in this case, from each group, mesti ada representative, mesti ada respondent. So this will give you stratified sampling. Okay, and then the second one, you have every 10 bottle of lemon juice is selected. So this is the keywords. Tengok saja, every 10 bottles. So dia ada perkataan every 10. Okay, every 10 bottles. So this is basically nampak saja every 10, every 5 elements, every 12 elements or whatever. You ada perkataan every ni. So this reflect that you are using systematic sampling. Okay. So yang lain-lain tu just dia punya additional information saja. Okay. The last one we have here for the part B is out of 40 service centers. So out of 40 service centers, a sample of 5 centers was selected. So dia kata sini, dia ada 40 service center. And then only select a sample of 5 center. Okay, daripada 40 dia hanya pilih 5 saja. Okay, selected at random, and then semua all customer dekat yang service center tu will be selected as respondent. So this give you the idea, right? So that in this case you ada 40 branches, 40 service center, and then you just ambil 5 saja. So lagi 35 tu you ignore. So this is a criteria for cluster sampling, where not all element is taken from each of the, okay, not all samples taken from each of the 40 service center. Kalau dia katakan you kena ambil respondent from each of the service center, so that will be stratified. But right now, instead of having all the 40 service center sample, we only taking sample from 5 service center. So this give you cluster sampling. Okay. So that is the situation. So in this case, when we talk about the population will be the customers, all the customers of the service center. Okay. However, the sampling frame is not the list of all the customers, because this one is a cluster sampling. When we come to the sampling frame is the list of 40 service center, not all customer. Okay, you have to remember the sampling unit in the other probability sampling is the element itself. Okay, contohnya respondent, employees, customer or whatsoever. However, for cluster sampling, the sampling frame for cluster sampling is the cluster itself. So in this case, dalam ni yang cluster dia adalah 40 service center ni. So that means the sampling frame will be the list of all the 40 service centers, not the list of all the customer. The population, yes. The population is all the customer of the 40 service center throughout Malaysia. Yang tu dia punya populasi. Tapi dia punya sampling frame are different things, right? Okay. So the third one asks you, given a scenario, then you have to answer the question as below, right? So the first say Mr. Lim wants to investigate the stressful of his students. So this is what he wants to investigate. So to investigate the stressful of his students. Okay. So ni kalau ada sesiapa yang nak buat kajian okay, for those yang nak buat, ada yang masih lagi nak tukar, mungkinlah nak tukar tajuk nak tengok okay to investigate a study to not study macam mana kata the stressful level among students during online distance learning. Contohnya satu ni lah, satu tajuk kan, stressful level ataupun stress level among students during online distance learning, a case study of UiTM Kedah contohnya lah. Okay, so you can do that, and then if you want to do what you call as primary data, you can check on the questionnaire developed by somebody, I didn't remember the name, but you can check on the website, you can Google DASS21, DASS21. So that is stress level. So kalau nak tengok kat sini, saya boleh tunjuk kat sini sekejap. Okay, if you look through this one, you have DASS21 test. Okay, this one. Okay, this is depression, anxiety, stress scale 95. So dia ada yang boleh bahasa Malaysia punya. So kalau siapa nak try boleh lah. So kalau siapa nak, so this is the actual test. Okay. So dia ada kat sini. So this is the question. So you can try this one. Ada 21 questions. So you can use this one as the testing. So you buat Google form, and then you submit the Google form, or you distribute the Google form to your friends or to the students of UiTM Kedah and so on, and try to come up with the answer. In this case, I found it hard to wind down. So yang ni maksudnya saya menghadapi kesukaran untuk menenangkan diri saya. Contohnya, this is the direct translation. So maybe you can say, okay, out of 0.1, never, sometimes, often, always. You can just say, okay, sometimes it is hard for me to wind down my stress level. Okay, you can say. So after that, bila dah jawab dia akan bagilah dia result. So kat sini dia ada dia punya explanation. Okay. So whether you are depressed, kita sambungkan semula. So dia kata investigate the stressful level of students during online distance learning. There are 6 classes taught by him. So dia ada 6 kelas. So basically this one dah nampak dah. So dia katakan ada 6 classes. So this is already given you that this one dah give some idea that there will be grouping, right? So that means kalau dia tanya soalan pasal sampling technique, you already know that it's going to be either certified, cluster, or multi-stage. And of course, multi-stage will out of the questions because normally we only give you one level, right? Okay, out of the 6 classes, he randomly select 2 classes. Nampak tak? So daripada 6 kelas, dia hanya pilih 2 saja. Selected 2. So daripada sini you dah dapat dah. Okay, daripada 6 kelas, dia pilih hanya 2 kelas. So lagi 4 kelas dia dah lupakan. So that means daripada sampling teknik tu dia tahu, oh, this is a cluster sampling. Sebab dia tak ambil semua yang grouping tu. Okay, dia hanya ambil sebahagian saja daripada grouping. So you know dah jawapan untuk sampling techniques. Okay. And then dia kata all students in the selected class are given a set of questionnaire and stress score obtained are calculated. Okay, that is the situation. So state the population for the above study as course yang saya katakan sini. So right now the population will be all students. Okay, all students that in Mr. Lim classes. So dia kata, so all students from 6 classes. Ataupun you boleh katakan all students that take Mr. Lim, that is in Mr. Lim classes. Boleh juga, tak ada masalah. And then the second one, dia nakkan sampling method. So kalau kat sini kalau dia tanya, okay, let's say in this case they state the population and the sampling frame. So your population will be all students from 6 classes, but the sampling frame is not list of all students. Okay, so the sampling frame will be list of all the 6 classes. Okay, so that's why in this case yang second tu dia kata okay, name the sampling method and state the sampling frame. So the sampling method is cluster sampling and the sampling frame is list of all 6 classes. Dia punya cluster tu. So cluster dia adalah classes. Alright, so list of all 6 classes, bukannya list of all students. Okay, so that is for that one. Okay, and then the third one, explain how to select the sample from the population by using method stated into. So dia tanya, okay, macam mana kita nak select sample tadi? So as usual, list all the 6 classes. Okay, list all the 6 classes. From the 6 classes, randomly select 2 classes, and then all students from 2 classes are chosen as sample. Habis. Okay, and then explain how to select his sample from the next one they ask you, suggest the suitable data collection method, give advantage of this method. So dia katakan email questionnaire. Okay, advantage bagilah advantage apa-apa. So boleh tak dia gunakan kaedah lain? Dia nak gunakan direct questionnaire ataupun self-administered questionnaire. Boleh, tak ada masalah. Sebab tu kelas dia kan. Okay, itu adalah kelas dia. So dia akan jumpa dengan student tu anytime. Okay, kalau katakan tapi in this situation kita tak boleh gunakan direct questionnaire. Sebab apa? Sebab in this situation, okay, kalau katakan in normal class, yes, you can use direct questionnaire. But in this situation right now, it is in term of COVID-19. Dia berkisar kisah COVID-19 ni, di mana semua kelas adalah secara online. So dia tak berjumpa dengan pelajar tersebut. So direct questionnaire is not possible. So kalau jawab kat sini direct questionnaire for this kind of situation, then it will be wrong. Sebab dia tak jumpa dengan pelajar tu. Okay, so the best way is email questionnaire. Alright, and then advantage bolehlah you letakkan apa saja advantage kat situ. Alright, so that is for the yes saya.
Kalau yang tak letak email kan, just jawab questionnaire saja tu tak dapat markah.
Diterima lah, tapi biasanya kita nak lebih tepat lah email questionnaire lah. So kalau katakan questionnaire tu is an instrument. Okay, so kalau biasanya kalau ikutkan bila kita bincangkan pasal data collection methods ni, okay, questionnaire is not a data collection method. So you kena faham benda tu. Okay, questionnaire is not a data collection method, bukan teknik data collection. Questionnaire is actually an instrument. Okay, dia adalah satu instrumen, satu tools yang digunakan untuk collect data. Tapi dia bukan teknik, bukan methods. Itu kadang-kadang bila kita kerja jawab questionnaire saja, dia adalah salah. Sebab tu kadang-kadang kita boleh kena letakkan depan tu email questionnaire ataupun self-administered questionnaire ataupun direct questionnaire. So dia ada dia punya elemen menerangkan bahawa itu adalah kaedah. Kalau questionnaire saja, ianya adalah instrument. So by right it is wrong. Tapi tak apalah. So kalau tak tahu lagi, next time jangan buatlah. Okay. So bila questionnaire, jangan just letak questionnaire saja. You have to be specific. Questionnaire itu you gunakan macam mana? Adakah menggunakan secara online melalui email ataupun secara online melalui website di mana dia kena buat login into a website. Macam tadi dia digunakan website kan, macam yang ni dia kena questionnaire daripada website. Ini bukan email lah, ini bukan email questionnaire. So this is data collection method, tapi data collection method through website based. Dia bukan email. Kalau email kita hantar email. Sebab tu dia katakan kalau questionnaire saja this part je. Yang ni adalah questionnaire. Dia bukan methods. Okay, dia instrumen yang digunakan. So you kena faham apa maksud instrumen, apa maksud methods. Okay, so by right kalau katakan kita jawab just questionnaire secara dasarnya adalah salah lah. Sebab dia bukan methods. Okay, tapi diterimalah buat masa ni. Tapi dalam final exam jangan buatlah, untuk test kita terima lagi. Tapi kalau final exam normally dia orang takkan terima. Okay. Kalau dulu okey lagi, dulu dia ada markah kerana dia bagi markah setengah. Tapi sekarang dah tak ada markah setengah tu. So kalau salah, salah je. Alright. So be careful with that. Okay, boleh nah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it clear? Clear? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see the second one. The second one is on graphical display. So ini saya rasa tak ada masalah. So they give you the table below provide information on the double fever incidence per 1,000. And then you have this one. Okay. So bila you buat ini, so this one ada sikit kesilapan kat sini dari segi dia punya labeling. So by right the label is not correct. Okay. So you have this thing. So ada setengah-setengah di sini, so construct a multiple bar chart. So just remember the multiple bar chart is side by side. Okay, side by side macam ni. So so this is one of the way untuk you lukiskan dia punya multiple bar charts. So in this situation they give you bars according the x-axis representing the state and then the bar representing the year. You can also have the x-axis representing the year and the bar representing the state. So boleh juga, tak ada masalah. Okay. And then in the labeling here, so by right, bila you letak labeling number of dengue cases, because this one is per 100,000 population. So you kena letak kat dalam ni. So you kena letak kat dalam ni per 100,000 sebab this represent the per 100,000 population. So you kena letak. So kalau letak macam ni je is not correct because this is misleading information. Sebab kita bagi number of dengue cases. Takkanlah dalam 2014 dekat Kelantan ada 852 sahaja kan per 1,000 case. Padahal sebenarnya this one is 152 case per 100,000. So maksudnya setiap 100,000 populasi ada 852 orang yang mengidap dengue. So maknanya kalau ada 200,000 dia akan jadi double lah. So kali dengan 2. So by right the label must be correct. So in this case it's supposed to be number of dengue cases in bracket the unit per 100,000 population. Okay, and then must have the title like this. Okay, title jangan tinggal lah. So you must have the title, must label the axis correctly, and then differentiate between one bar with another. Okay, you can differentiate between one bar with another. And then in terms of the what you call the explanation, so you can just give any kind of explanation related to the graph that you have obtained. Okay, so any questions so far yang tu? Okay. Okay, let's go to number 3. Okay, number 3 give you a stamp and leaf display. So in this case, they give you, okay, the ABC company has conducted a survey on the number of motorbike sales for a period of 14 days. The data presented in the stamp and leaf as follows. So this is your data. So by right, the correct stamp and leaf display must have a unit legend. Okay, unit legend means that the interpretation of how you read the stamp and leaf. Patutnya dia dekat sini lah. 3 palang kosong ni maksudnya apa? 30. Okay, that is what is supposed to be lah. Tapi yang ni dia tak letak. Saya pun tak perasan benda ni, and then saya pun tak maklumkan pada mereka. Sepatutnya dia kena letak lah unit tu . So kalau tengok mana-mana sesuatu software dia akan ada unit dia. So 3/0 maknanya 30. So kalau tak tu orang boleh tak apa-apa. So 3/0 ni bukan kata okay 3.0, 3.3, 3.3. So which is wrong, right? Okay. So the first question asks you to determine the shape of the distribution. So how to determine the shape of the distribution? If you see here, so you have 3 at the bottom, 3 above. Okay, and then you can see that there is a missing value here, 3, 4, right? Ada missing sikit kan? Okay, so by right, it is skewed to the left, sebab ada missing kat situ. So kalau you tengok kat sini, kita tak boleh katakan normal sebenarnya. Okay, it's not normal actually. Sebab apa? Tapi itulah dia kata normal ni, saya pun tak pasti pasal apa dia kata normal. So by right is not normal. Kalau 4, 5, 6, yes it is normal. but when you have 3, 5, and 6, it is not normal. So let me just give you some ideas in that. Biar saya try lukiskan ini. Let me just try to do something with this. Okay, let me just check on this one. Okay, sekejap, Okay, let me just test this one a little while. Alah, sekejap, buat sikit. Okay. And then 54, 55, 54. If you see here, so dia ada outliers kat sini kan. Okay, kalau you tengok ni, this is not normal. And then dekat middle ni pun dia tak sama dekat tengah-tengah So and then dia ada ni. So let me just check on the skewness. Sorry, skewness tak ada. Summary. Okay, you have that one, and then let me just check on the describe. Sorry. Okay, so this is the one So kalau tengok ini, so it's not normal actually. So kalau tengok dekat sini dia tak normal pun. Okay, so that's why actually it's supposed to be left skewed actually this one So it's supposed to be left skewed because in this situation you can see that you have a missing value over here. The 4 is missing over here. Okay, so kalau you listkan X ni, so this is the one yang you have so 30, 33, 33 and so on, right? So you have, and then you jump to 50, 51, 51, 52 and so on. So kalau you check on the value for the mean and the median, you akan dapat lah dia ni. So let me check. Siapa tak ada skewness Okay. I want here. This is. Sekejap apa function lupa dah. Apa function lupa dah. Okay, tak lah. Right. So in this case by right, it's supposed to be left skewed. So kalau kat sini dia bagi jawapan normal distribution, which is a bit wrong lah sebenarnya. So it's supposed to be left skewed. Okay. So for me, if you answer left skewed, you are correct. So normal distribution kalau kat sini yang kata boleh terimalah, kita terima normal distribution. Tapi sebenarnya bukan normal distribution. Kalau orang tanya kenapa, sebab kat sini ada 4 So in between here you have 4. Alright. Okay. So that is for the first one. And then the second one, they ask you to calculate the lower quartile and upper quartile. So in order to calculate the lower quartile, so what you need to do is simply calculate the location first. That means you have how many just now? 14, right? So you have 14. So 14 plus 1 divided by 4, you get 3.75. And then locate the value for the third position. So the third position will be 33. So in this case, kalau tengok dekat sini, okay, you want the third position, right? So this is Q1. Okay, you have X3 plus apa ya dia punya ni? 0.75 eh? 0.75 multiply with X minus X3. Okay, let's check whether so Q1. Okay, you get 45.75. Okay, so you dapat ni. So 45.75. So this is the location. So you have X3 that is 33. And then plus 0.75. X4 is the position for the X4 positions. And then, so it's between here. So 1, 2, 3, 33 and 50, right? So it's between 33 and 50. So you're going to get the answer to be 45.75. And then for the next one, you have for position for Q3 is 3/4 n plus 1. So you get 11.25. So locate the 11th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is 11th position. Okay, 57 and 63, right? So these two values. So that means you can get the position for that one. So if you calculate this one, so you're gonna get, okay, this will be Q3. Okay, and then you want the 11th position, right? So this one is 11. And then this will be 25, 0.25. This will be 12. And this one will be 11. Okay, so Q3 will give you 58.5, right? So if you want to find the IQR, you can just find IQR is simply equal to Q3 minus Q1. So calculate this, you get IQR. So 12.75. Okay. So that is how you find the lower quartile and upper quartile for the number of motorbike sales. So you have the lower quartile is 45.75 and the upper quartile is 58.5. Okay. So this is the answer for question number 3. And then for question number 4, okay, this one we have done this plenty of times. Okay, banyak kali dah kita buat. So soalan nombor 4 ni. So as I mentioned earlier, to follow this one, what you need to do is simply find the summation of fx and summation of fx squared. So in this case, you need to find the midpoint first. So here you have a class limit. Okay, here you have a class limit. So no matter whether you have a class limit here, either with the less than or more than, so it doesn't matter. What you need to do in order to find the midpoint is simply take the lower plus the upper and then divide it by 2. So in this case, you take 45 plus 49 and then divided by 2. So 45 plus 49. So you get 94 divided by 2, you get 47. And then for the second one, you get 52. Okay, 50 plus 54 divided by 2, you get 52, and so on. right? So after that, you just calculate and get the summation value. List down the summation value over here. So you have summation of fx divided by n. So 2560 divided by 40 equal to 64. And then they ask you to find the variance. Okay, here you want the variance, not the standard deviation. Okay, so they want the variance. Okay, mean and variance. So be careful. Sometimes they ask you to find the mean and the standard deviation, but in this sense, they ask you to find the mean and the variance. So finding the variance, you get 80.5128. And then the next one, you are asked to construct a less than ogive. So in order to construct a less than ogive, you need to use the lower boundary. Okay, so you need to find the lower boundary. So that means the first one is 44.5. So that's why you have here at the bottom, you have 44.5. Okay, the x-axis started with 44.5 with 0. Okay, remember the less than ogive will start with 0 and end up with the maximum number, that is 40. While if you are using the greater than ogive, you will start with 40, the maximum number, and end up with 0. So in this case, you have this value. Just connect the points with a straight line, okay, with a ruler. Connect the point with a ruler, so you get this shape. So you have cumulative number of students. This is mass, and then a less than or give the title over here. Okay. So how to get the values for here? You start with 0, and then plus 2, you get 2, and then 6, 13, 23, 27, and then so on, right? Okay. So that is the values. Okay, so this is the ogive. And then lastly, you have to determine the shape of the mass distribution using Pearson coefficient of skewness. So you already have the median value over here. To find the median, simply find the midpoint. So not the midpoint, the location of the median, that is 40 divided by 2, you get 20. And then try to locate the information in the x-axis. And remember, the graph have to be drawn on a graph paper so that you can estimate the values correctly. Okay, so in this case, they give you the x tilde to be 63. So using the mean and the standard, the median, you can find the Pearson measures of skewness. So this gives you the value of Pearson measures of skewness to be greater than 0, that is positive. So that means skewed to the right or positively skewed. And finally, the question asks you to determine to make comparison with school Y, school X and school Y, and then determine which school has a more consistent mass. So you have to find CVX and CVY. So remember, CV is using standard deviation. So check whether the given information is it in the form of standard deviation or variance. So the CVX, you have to take the square root because just now you found the values 80.5128 over here. This is actually the variance. So in order to use it in the coefficient of variation, the CV, you need to take the square root of the variance. So calculate this one, you get the coefficient of variation for school X is equal to 14.02, while the coefficient of variation for school Y is 19.23. So in order to find the more consistent data or distribution, you need to look at a lower CV value. Okay, so this is wrong. So this is X actually, not Y. So dia punya X tu nampak macam Y. Okay, school X has a more consistent mass. Okay, school X has a more consistent mass. So that is the solution. Let me check the answer over here. Okay,